It really is just me being human.
Every post that you put out has got to have substance. There's got to be a reason why you put it out.
It has to be less product, more people.
Because it's social media.
I'm hoping that is what's reflected in my LinkedIn, because it's what I feel.
Welcome to the Social Media for Business podcast. I am your host, Rebecca Bridgen, founder of Innovate Social, where we're here in season 2. Can you believe it? Today's guest is one of Maritime's best connectors. She's currently global brand ambassador at ShipMoney and for years was the face and drove the brand of London International Shipping Week that put her at the centre of industry relationships across owners, operators, ports, OEMs and the wider supply chain. So this episode is about the human first communication on LinkedIn. Speaking in a voice people recognize, setting boundaries and building real relationships at scale. We'll get into how to write posts that actually sound like you and how to handle disagreement when not everybody will like you and how to translate this approach into a practical communications plan. So if you stopped posting like a press office and started posting like a person, what would change first? This is a question to put out to you, the audience. Would it be your engagement, your inbox, or your opportunities? So take a moment to think on that. And what if your most professional LinkedIn post is actually hiding the very thing that would win trust? Today, ShipMoney ambassador Karen Martin will share her own insights on human first comms, turn connections into real relationships. Karen, welcome.
Good morning. You've asked me to do this so many times, and my response, as you know, is always, I don't have any magic tricks. I'm just me. So it's really odd having a conversation with you that's not us just putting the world to rights for an hour.
I mean, the preliminary was not much of a preliminary. So we haven't actually had a preliminary, but we had hot gossip, I think, leading up to this podcast. So it was very hard to focus, but it was all good fun. So we're going to go for the first few questions. And actually, you were talking about you don't think that you have any particular strategy, but actually you do so well with it. And oftentimes it's when it's the most natural and people want to kind of tap into that. So that's what we're going to tap into. So before we get tactical, can you give us your definition of human first on LinkedIn? Now, what is it exactly?
I mean, I think people are bored of hearing this from me, but I like to bring myself to every meeting, to every event, and to LinkedIn, because I think when I write my post as I feel it. If I don't feel it, I don't post it. So when you use the word human first, I passionately believe that because I believe in us as humans. You know, we've been doing these really short videos and I generally would like to understand what makes people tick. I think too much product placement, you lose interest. They're not the posts you read. I know I'm probably going into other questions, but anyone that knows me, if I started using AI-generated posts, would know immediately it's not me. And, you know, I've had things thrown at me. You use the word fat, or you use this odd language that I tend to come out with. But anyone that knows me knows that's how I am. It really is just me being human.
It's interesting that you say that because there's been a couple of posts or comments that I've wanted to put on other people's posts. It really is me and it's how I speak. And when I write it, it's not offensive in any shape or form. And LinkedIn will pop up and go, are you sure you want to post this? Some people may take offense and report you for it. And I think, but then that's a robot reading how human beings, and it doesn't get it all the time. And especially because we are all, I quite often say we're all different flavors. And I think I did a post on this a while back, but it's true. Like, what is your flavor? And I think, you know, AI doesn't quite get that.
And I think that's a really good way to look at it, actually, because if I was to write something, and I do always write what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, or what moves me, I couldn't use an AI because it would say, oh no, I'd need to tighten this up. We'd need to rearrange this. And that's not who I am. So, you know, I have to be true to me. And, you know, some might say, you particularly, you need to be posting more. You know, this rule that says to get noticed 4 posts a week, my post wouldn't be real because I've got nothing to say 4 times a week or a month.
Yeah, no, I agree. Every post that you put out has got to have substance. There's got to be a reason why you put it out. I don't agree personally that you have to post 4 times a week. I mean, I think there's there's also, it's finding that sweet spot, isn't it? And it's that overkill, oh, there they are again. And sometimes I do post a fair bit on a week. It's just because I do have lots to say. Because lots is going on, and I'm sure many people will relate. Lots happens in a week sometimes when you're really, really busy. So you have loads of ideas, and then other weeks, not so much. I think it's just as long as you maintain that consistency, so you don't go AWOL for a week or two. And so it's keeping something going, but worthwhile talking about.
I think so. And I think if you don't have something to say, those posts are really quite obvious. For me, it reads like marketing. So I may not be as emotionally invested in the post. So I perhaps don't take social media as seriously as some. And, it's been said, I'm global brand ambassador for Ship Money. Should I be posting more about the brand? I love the brand and I love the people behind it. But LinkedIn is different. I think it has to be less product, more people.
Because it's social media. And I think a lot of businesses kind of miss that mark sometimes, especially when, they first come to us and they say, we want to be putting, we want to talk about this product or that product or this service. And I'm like, that's great, but people aren't on LinkedIn to be sold to, but you can sell to them indirectly. And I think you just touched on something really important, is an emotional response. No one's going to have an emotional response to an item, or a product post, or a service. Or like, oh yes, that makes me feel so good.
But I think if you show the humans behind the machine, this is where the life is. This is where people, engage with you and are pleased to see you. When I attend events and I go to conferences, that really genuinely re-energizes me, because it's this global industry we work with that's run by a village of largely wonderful people who all have a story. And I am far more interested in that story and what makes people tick than being a false situation. I think I have to be me, because that translates wherever I am, whoever I'm with.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it's the relationship. Like in each company, you have a group of people that are driving that company forward. And each individual within that company, like you say, has a story, has got passions as a human being. And it's like social media is the online event that's 365 days a year where you can connect with people and actually get to know the individuals. And I always say this, real in IRL, in real life, as my son would say, in real life events is where it solidifies and cements that. And you go, oh, hey, we've been chatting, or I've been seeing you on social media. So it's about that sort of visibility of the humans aspect of the company. And then you get to build a sense of who the company is.
So many events, and I've been to a lot of events. I've been to a lot of meetings. And actually, the conversation is 90% of the time personal. You don't introduce somebody and then we pitch a brand, a product, a service, because this is about long-term relationships. Some might say you're not hugely knowledgeable, but I go to all these conferences, we listen to all these debates about how people, seafarers, and I think I get so frustrated with these conversations, because I think actually it all comes down to us as people and humans. And why does that change dependent on your job and your status? I'm hoping that is what's reflected in my LinkedIn, because it's what I feel.
We are multifaceted as human beings. We are not 2D, just talking about professional, which, yes, LinkedIn was set up that years ago to network and all about profession. But I think business has come a long way to recognize that we are all human beings working in that professional environment. And with that, we bring with us our life experiences, our home life, our childhood traumas even, we have all of that. And someone said to me the other day that, is LinkedIn not just getting a bit like Facebook? And it was an interesting conversation, because I said, well, there are lots of people who maybe, yes, okay, there is a balance of sharing too much personal stuff, but it's how you should be behaving in the office. And it really is down to the personalities. And some people in the office, they'll overshare, and some people won't, and they'll maintain that real professional, so LinkedIn really is a reflection of the current business office dynamic, isn't it? And some professionals are all encompassing.
No, it's funny that you should say that, because if I was to look at that, I don't go down that personal route with it. I don't do that. I keep it professional, but I still use my voice, because I can't do anything that's prescriptive. It's got to be real for me. And I think, people engage with the post because it's human. For me, it's everything. I don't pitch. I don't have an agenda with LinkedIn. It just has to be what I'm feeling. And I think if I started, generating posts with AI, I realize that's the future. But there's a fine line between being cold and intrusive and being warm and engaging. And I think that's actually more powerful, but for me anyway.
It's a balance, isn't it? It's finding that sweet spot. It's finding that sweet spot within yourself as well. And some people are, more practiced at it and than others. And that's just a natural part of it. But I was going to ask you this question. So and I've heard many people say that they don't want to post because of this. So it'll be interesting to get your take. Some people won't like a person's style, especially if they're being authentic and true to themselves. Like in real life, not everybody will like everybody, and that's normal. But what advice would you give on how to handle pushback without diluting your voice?
I think, I don't really post anything that's offensive. That I've never experienced pushback as it happens. But as in life, some will, some won't. So what? I think you have to own your own space, be who you are, and then naturally you're not going to engage in the same way with those that perhaps don't agree. I don't do confrontation very well, and anyone that knows me knows that. But then that does lead to then having no boundaries, because you're always open to listening and accommodating, and where possible will always say, I'll try that, I'll do that. I haven't come across negative pushback yet. I mean, there are some who won't like it, but then that's their choice not to post, to like, to comment.
But I mean, ultimately, if you're brave enough to be who you are and true and authentic to yourself, yes, okay, some people may not resonate with that, but you will absolutely, it will help you to find your tribe and find the people on that space that actually do resonate with you. And I often say to myself, and it's quite reassuring, it's other people's business what they think of me. I don't want to take up my time in thinking about I have to say that's taken years to get that way.
That's very, very, very easy to say, and it's advice I give anyone. And I'm here for anyone and then everyone, and we'll give everyone that time. And I give that advice, and then I look back and I think, okay, so how many times have I actually taken that advice?
I know, we're so good at giving it, aren't we? Tell us about one post, if you can recall, that actually worked really well. Might be that you were surprised, or after it did do really well, why do you think it resonated, and what happened next as a result of it? Is there any post that sticks out to you?
Okay. After London International Shipping Week, I don't know if it was 23, 21, I wrote from my heart afterwards, because I was exhausted, mentally, physically done, on a high. And I wrote the post just to thank everyone. And that surprised me, because I'd written it from the heart, not really for engagement, just to offload the physical exhaustion of it, but the gratitude and the thanks for the support.
So if a maritime firm, I'm going to sort of draw it back to, if a maritime firm wants to go human first, so we're looking at more of a brand perspective rather than individual, what 3 changes should they make to their social comms plan this month?
Keep it simple. We've been doing these, really short videos. We did one with the team. We had a team meeting in Athens a couple of weeks ago. And it's just to show that there's real people behind this brand. Ship money, fantastic, but there's people behind it. Really amazing people. So that's our thinking, really, is just to make it real.
So basically, less product, more people, make it real.
Yes, I think so. I don't think you need to be so obvious. I think that's the key.
And 1 or 2 things that people obsess over on LinkedIn that don't move relationships or reputation, what do you think that would be?
I mean, I've got to say probably, that's a really difficult one to answer. I think it's got to, if I'm really honest, I think we've got to be less focused on self, less obvious. It doesn't matter about listing times. It doesn't matter about algorithms. They still need, I know when we're looking at ROI, we look at analytics, but it's not a vanity project. And I think you're in danger in turning LinkedIn into something that it isn't.
Yes. And I think that's probably where it's very reflected in some of the comments that I've had recently. And somebody asked me, is LinkedIn still working? Because some people have said that it isn't and people are moving away from LinkedIn. And it was an interesting question because I genuinely felt that I couldn't really provide the answer because it was mixed. And for me, I said it depends what you're putting into the equation and how you're interacting with LinkedIn as to what you're seeing and viewing, because the algorithm is feeding off your own interaction and behaviors. So if you're commenting more on posts that are X, then you will get more of those X type posts with those individuals on your feed. And if it's something that's not resonating with you, then I suppose it's hard to get out of that once it's sort of pegged you and said, this is it's hard.
Yeah, it is, because then that changes the algorithm that you've got coming through on your feed.
Yeah.
I completely understand that. And I think we just need to be mindful. I realize that my personal LinkedIn is my brand. It's me, but it's not an Instagram. So I'm not setting out to be an influencer. And I think that's where LinkedIn mustn't go.
Yes. Yeah. So you saying that you would prefer video because it shows the real human, doesn't it? You can get a feel for somebody when you're using video content because you can see their mannerisms, the way they're interacting with others. And I think probably that's why video is doing so well and is really on the rise for social content now, isn't it?
I am really enjoying doing them because actually you're getting to talk to people. Again, let's just bring it back. It's not about me. I have no desire to be front and center. My conversations, any conversations I have with people, it's about the other person.
I'm going to do a quick lightning round now. So you've got to answer these questions in 30 seconds. So are you ready?
Yes.
2 questions.
Go.
First question. If you had to rebuild your maritime network from zero in 90 days on LinkedIn, what's the weekly routine?
Oh, gosh. I suppose from zero. Wow. I think you would have to really plan some weekly warm, engaging posts. But for that, you definitely need to have something to say, and then maybe even some daily genuine engagement with other people on LinkedIn. But it can't be cold pitching. This has to be engaging. Otherwise, who is going to accept you or want you?
I say it all the time, actually, because I get inundated, and I know many other people do, with a connection request and instantly straight in there with a sales pitch in my DM. And I'm like, I need some lubrication, man. A bit of foreplay before you go in hard. Come on.
This takes me back to a conversation I had about lube with somebody on Monday. Anyway, let's not go there. I absolutely hate that, because even in real life, if I get somebody calling me for my cheaper mobile bills for anything, it's not the way to approach people. It's cold. You're closing a door, not opening it. And I know there's a time that might have worked. That's every 100 somebody might send. One person may answer that, but it wouldn't make me engage.
It's very intensive for very little return, I think.
Yeah, and the only time I would send a direct message on LinkedIn is just catch up with someone who I don't know their mobile number. Let's meet. I'm coming in. Let's meet up for a coffee, or even a how are you? That's it. There's no sell behind that. That's way too obvious. That's really not what I'm about. It's selling by association, isn't it? If you're representing a brand and you behave in a manner and build those relationships, well, then people know where I am.
Well, I often say, and it's quite true, isn't it? People buy the person, not the product. And I think when you are visible consistently and showcasing who you really are, people decide whether they would like to buy from you or not. And they will know over time what it is you do. So by the time they meet you face to face in person, which is why I think going to events is really important, that's when the conversations go, oh, I've been meaning to talk to you because we need to have a conversation about ... And that does happen. It happened on Monday night and it happens at every event. And so you've already paved the way and people feel like they already know who you are, to know whether they would trust you or want to build a professional working relationship with you or not.
I think that for me, that sums it up. You've been true to yourself. If people are open and they talk to you and are comfortable enough to feel like they have known you for a long time. Because that's what it's about. Eventually, yes, you're absolutely right. People know who you work for, who you're representing. But, this industry is about people. And you're right. You know who those people are working for, connected for. So actually, when the time's right, they will reach out for you if you've got the right relationship. I think it's everything. I really do. But the funny thing is, I don't think it's clever, Beth.
Yeah, we're so kindred spirits on that. Well, you will be very pleased to know that without realizing it, you have worked through every single question in my list, aren't you?
No
Renee?
way.
You have. So that's our conversation with Karen Martin. If you take one thing into your next post, make it this. Lead with a real human insight, then add the lesson, not the other way around, and try Karen's challenge. Share a specific story that you could only tell yourself. Be who you are and watch who leans in. If you would like to continue to follow these episodes, we've got a fantastic selection of guests lined up. In fact, actually, I've got I'm right scheduled all the way up through to July with a fantastic selection of guests, I'll have you know. So if you would like to make sure you don't miss a single episode, please like and subscribe. We are on Spotify and on YouTube, as well as you can hop onto our website and the links are on there. And also, of course, LinkedIn. So please do feel free to follow. And also, if you feel anybody would gain any benefit and insight from listening to these episodes, please do share the love. So Karen, that's it for me and you just today though, but we'll catch up another time.
Yes, thank you. And you know what? You're outgoing paragraph. Let me just say, if anyone wants to reach out to me, then do.
That's lovely. Well, and why wouldn't they? So that's it from now. Goodbye.
Bye.